Good morning, first grade. I hope everyone is having a really nice day so far. All right, today in today's learning video, we are going to focus on two different things. The first part will be taking a look at some parts of Feel the Wind and comparing what we can learn from the text versus what we can learn from the illustration. And then in the second part of this learning video, we are going to take a look at a third source to help us gather some details and information that we can use in our informative paragraph. If you remember on Friday during our live class, we took some notes from Feel the Wind, and then we looked at a second source, that website about hurricanes. And so today we're going to take a look at a third source. So if this gets a little bit longer, feel free to pause the video, especially halfway through if you'd like to take a little shake break or stretch. That would be great. All right, so let's take a look at this bite size of pizza question. What does a deeper exploration of words and illustrations reveal in Feel the Wind? So deeper exploration, we've talked about how that means a closer look, and reveal means to kind of make it known or make it be shown, and you notice it, you see it. So let's take a look at some specific parts of the text and compare the information that we can get from the text versus the information that we can get from the illustrations. All right, so let me go ahead. Okay, so I'm going to read 2 pages, but I'm not going to show you the illustrations just yet. So think about, what can we learn from this section? You can see how strong the wind is by doing an experiment. With a bicycle, stand so that the wind is blowing in your face. Now ride into the wind. Feel how hard it is to pedal. Then turn your bicycle around and ride it with the wind pushing you along. Isn't it easier to pedal now? Okay, so what is the text teaching us or telling us in that specific part that I just read? Yeah, it's telling us about an experiment where we can really feel the strength of the wind by using a bicycle and either pedaling into the wind or pedaling against the wind, or with the wind pushing us and helping to move us forward. Now let's look at the illustration and see what can we learn from the illustration. Okay, so here was the page that I just read, and here we see the illustration. And what can we learn from the illustration? Yeah, on this page, the first page, we see that the person is, pushing the bicycle. Their hair is blowing this way, and it shows them, going into the wind, even though we can't see the wind. Versus this picture where, we see the person's hair looks like it's going this way, and it looks like they're pedaling, and riding the bike fairly easily, and they're staying up, right? I noticed that if you're not moving on a bike, it's really hard to keep it staying up, without having it move, tip over side to side. So it looks like they're pedaling fairly easily. All right, so let's jump back. Okay, so I'm going to read another page, and I'm not going to show you the illustration just yet. So this page says, when heated air over the earth rises, cooler, heavier air rushes in to take its place. The moving air is wind. Okay, so what have we learned from this part of the text? What do you think? From just the words? Yeah, we hear that hot air rises, cold air takes its place, and that's really what wind is. So moving air is the same as wind. That's the, how to define what wind is. Now let's take a look at the illustration. Okay, so here is the page that I just read that shows a picture of the earth and has arrows on it. So let's look at this picture and see, what can we learn from the picture that we didn't maybe learn from just the text itself? Yeah, I'm seeing that it looks like the warm air is really kind of moving out from the middle of the earth, and we learned a little bit about the equator being that kind of imaginary center line that's in the middle of the earth where the sun hits like the most direct. So the warm air comes from really the center of the earth, and then the cold air comes from the two poles, or the kind of top and the bottom of the earth, and then that's where they meet and creates wind. So this illustration and drawing really helps to give me a better picture in my mind of exactly kind of how the airflow works and where the cold and warm air come from. All right, so putting the words and the pictures together can be really helpful to kind of give you the whole picture of what they're trying to tell us about. Okay, we're going to take a look at one more section and compare the text to the illustrations. So just listen to this part. People have used the power of moving air for thousands of years. Now, thinking about that word power, let's listen to the rest of this page, and before we really get into the illustrations versus the text, let's see if we can figure out a good definition for the meaning of power and how they're using it in this part by listening to the words outside of the word power to see if it can help us really understand what that means. So people have used the power of moving air for thousands of years. Windmills are wind-powered machines. The blades of a windmill turn when the wind pushes against them. The turning blades move other parts to lift water, grind grain, saw wood, or make electricity. So in this case, the power, and we've talked about powerful and we've talked about force as being energy or physical, energy. It sounds like the way they're using power is to mean a force that can do work, right? That it's helping these machines to run and to work. All right, so that was the part that we read. So thinking back to the text here, windmills are wind-powered machines. The blades of a windmill turn when the wind pushes against them. The turning blades move other parts to lift water, grind grain, saw wood, or make electricity. What are some things that we learn just from the text? Yeah, how how wind is used, and specifically windmills are used to help do certain work, like grinding grain, sawing wood, making electricity. And we hear a little bit of it described of how a windmill actually works. Let's look at the picture now. Get to that page. So here are the two pages that we were just reading, and let's look at the illustrations here. So this was the first page. Get both of them. There we go. And then here is the second page. So what can the illustrations help to show us that we didn't learn from the text? Yeah, we can actually see what they're describing. We can see the blades on the windmill and can imagine the wind coming in. And even on this one, it's showing the blades moving, the wind moving the blades, and that action, that power allows these different jobs to be completed using the power of the wind. All right, very good. So if you would like to take a little shake break, now would be a great time. And if you could please grab your Wit and Wisdom Module 3 workbook. And we're going to go back to the page that we started on Friday, the handout 5A. Actually, let me pull that up so I can show that to you. So if you wanted to pause and go and grab your book, stretch your legs, that would be great. I will see you in just a second. Okay, so here is the page, and I've added, now my workbook is blank, but on my screen, I added in the facts and the details that we added to this page on Friday when we talked about using different sources. And then in that same class, if you remember, we took a look at a website that gave us some additional information, and we compared the information from the book and the website that was similar information and then information that was different. So what we're going to do now is complete the source 3 part. So we're going to look at an additional source. And this will be a book, and actually it's on Epic, so if you wanted to take a closer look at it, you could certainly check it out on Epic. But we're going to read some parts from this book and figure out what key details we could add to our chart for source number 3. Because if you remember, when you write your informative paragraph about the wind and hurricanes, you're going to use more than just one source. So we're really doing the work now, the note taking, the gathering of the information, the research that you can then use in your writing. Okay, so we'll be on this source number 3, and if you would like to open up to this page, grab a pencil. I know the lines and the space in this isn't great to work with, so just do the best that you can to fit your notes in here. And I will type them on the screen so we can write them together. And then you'll just take a quick picture and send this when we're finished. Okay? All right, so we're going to look at this a new book called Hurricane by Jessica Rudolph. Now, you might also remember that when we have talked about reading nonfiction texts, we don't necessarily have to read nonfiction cover to cover, right? We don't have to start on page 1 and read it straight through. We can jump around and find the information that we specifically are interested in. So in Hurricane, our focus for our writing is based on what kind of topic related to hurricanes. What are we specifically asking and researching? Yeah, wind. So I noticed that this book, let me get to it. I noticed that this book has, remember our text features? Yeah, it has an index. And when I look at the index, I see coast, damage, flood, ocean, rain, safety. And what do I see right there? Do you see that word? Winds. So I'm not going to read the other parts of this book. I'm going to just focus on these pages because that's what I'm interested in. This is how an index can be really helpful. We just want to talk about or learn about winds related to hurricanes. And I can see that I can go to page 4 and 5, 7, 10 and 11, 13, 18, and 22. So let's do that now. Okay, so I've turned back to page 4 and 5, and I actually took a quick note of the pages that I wanted to check out. And it says hurricanes. Rain falls along the coast. Trees bend from swirling winds. A hurricane is coming. A hurricane is a giant spinning storm. It has heavy rains and strong winds. All right, so I see trees bending, strong winds. Let's add that to our chart here. So I'm going to jump back to our slides. Okay, got a little text box, and you can do the same on your source number 3. I'm going to write strong, spell it correctly, strong winds. And then the other thing that we saw is that it knocks over trees. Okay, so if you want to quickly pause and add those 2 notes, you'll notice I'm not using capitals and I'm not using punctuation because these are not complete sentences. These are just notes that we are taking, quick notes that we will then use to turn into our complete sentences in our writing. Okay, so if you want to pause and add those, but I'm going to go back to the next part from my index pages to read a little bit more. All right, so page 7, winds whip up the ocean water, crash, waves smash onto the beach. Hurricanes are also called typhoons or cyclones. So it says it whips the ocean water. So I think that's a great detail we can add to our notes. Lips, ocean, water. Okay, so again, if you want to pause, I will put this up at the end of the video so that you can just pause it if you need to and add this to your book. All right, let's go to the next section that says, it mentions wind. Okay, so it says a hurricane's winds knock over trees. They blast out windows. They blow roofs off houses. So I would say this is really talking about, the strong winds and the damage that they can do to trees, windows, and houses. So let's go back and add a note about that. Say, destroys windows. Oops, spell that correctly. Destroys windows, trees, houses. All right. And again, you can pause. So I kind of took all that information and combined it. I guess we kind of already talked about knocked over trees, but can include that there as well. This is really where in this part of the writing process where you're researching, you're just kind of getting all your notes together. And then the next step before you write is to really, organize and find what information you have researched that is similar, what information is different, and kind of just organize it all as you sit down to actually write the paragraph. All right, so let's check out a couple more pages to see if there is some more information. Okay, it says hurricane winds push walls of ocean water onto land. This is called a storm surge. Hurricane rains and storms causes floods. All right, so the winds push water onto land. Make a little more. Okay. If you would like, as you're reading, I'm going to move this up just a little bit. If you would like, as you're writing, to pick like 3 to 4 of these that we have written down, and I will keep the rest of them, keep track of them. But if you would like to just choose 3 or 4 just because of the space that you have here, I know there's not a ton of space. All right, let's look at 2 more parts. I know I'm going to turn to 18. It says, if a hurricane hits, stay inside, keep far away from windows, then broken glass won't hit you. Some people board up windows before a hurricane hits. This helps keep winds and flying objects from breaking the glass. So I think we kind of already addressed this information about the wind breaking the windows. We put that in one of the other points. So I'm not going to add anything to our organizer because this is related to what we've already written. So let's look at our last page. And here's some hurricane facts. Hurricanes spin in a circle. The center is called the eye. Most hurricanes that hit the United States occur in the southeastern part of the country. Hurricanes are given names. Some hurricanes that have hit the United States were named Andrew, Rita, and Katrina. Hurricane winds and storm surges can knock out power lines and electricity. If you live in an area where hurricanes occur, keep flashlights, blankets, bottled water, and food on hand. All right, so really the information that mentions wind is that it can knock out electricity. So that's a new piece of information. So I will add that. Knock out electricity. Okay. So if you would like to choose 3 to 4 of these facts to include in your source number 3 column, that will be great. And then you can just snap a quick picture. Again, I know this was a little bit longer of one, so hopefully you took a little shake break in the middle, but that is source number 3. And then the next time we will start to talk about getting all of our sources and our information to start working on our writing. All right. So any questions, let me know, but Keep up the great work, and I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.